poor people who spend money hoping that it will help you to understand reflectors. I still think, why it's so many people? I will be speaking to reflectors, and you can listen in. Yesterday I was talking about why I didn't give enough attention to projectors for so many years, and why I gave it to generators. When it comes to reflectors, I have barely spoken about them except for situations when I spoke about the lunar cycles, that they have opportunities only through the moon cycle. If I can say that projectors are aliens to me, then imagine what happened when I truly, deeply became aware how very strange are these reflectors. What I am fascinated about reflectors' nature is something which is probably the genetic mutation. They are completely different from the rest. And it's obvious when you look at their design. When you look at their design, you are looking at nothing. It's something incredible. It's something that I can find incredible about human design. You can bring in 59 reflectors, their designs, and all you see is those hanging gates in the white space. The life force which they can cling to. The joke about us, non-sacral beings, is that we are parasites. But if you are a manifestor or a projector, you still have some life force, some vitality that works, which is innate through any channel that you have. But the most mysterious in this knowledge is that when you look at a non-live object, you know that there is a potential and it can become live at any moment. The wizards dream about giving the vitality to any lifeless object. And then you see a simple cell. And when you see a simple cell, you see if there is already a channel, and that's the potential of this channel. And we go from lifeless to living, into vitality. It's something really. On a very basic, vivid level, when we think about this, it is very, very obvious. It's like the difference between a rabbit and a stone. You can immediately say which one has life and which one is lifeless. Who has the vitality here? You don't have to be a great scientist to understand the difference between the living and lifeless. And think about reflectors. For me, this thing is very obvious that everyone has this potential of life force. But when you can detach and see why they're so different, that's because they are the only beings on this planet who take this life force from the whole. If someone asks me which design is perfect, which is actually not a very smart question, but it doesn't matter, my answer would be this: no activations whatsoever. A true reflector. No activations, no hanging gates, nothing. Being alone with God. The true reflection. Perfect one. When I think of reflectors in this way, I start understanding them. I try to mystically teach how it was all organized in life. A lot of things that we do on this plane when we are locked into this homogenized non-self, and when you look at the solar charts, we are all dominated by Sun, Earth, and it's difficult for us to judge really. It is our primary imprinting, and it is uniting us. The biggest joke with reflectors is that they don't have all of that. It's a big joke. Because for them, Sun and Earth is something secondary. They are really not like us. They are truly different. They are not ruled by life force. It's not the sun which fills in their lives. It's the moon which guides them. They are not like us. You can't compare them. Here's one of the main subjects of this knowledge: to understand where you are conditioned, to understand which is your own, which you bring into this life, and what life brings you. But it matters only when you are talking about the sun types. If you are a projector and you have only 2 centers defined, you are open to everything, but you have this very fixed footmark. And this fixed imprinting gives you the reference point for conditioning. This is something that gives the conditioning power and challenge compared to something what is defined within you. This is a challenge for any of us. We can't deny the power of conditioning in our life. But if you are a reflector, you are born in order to be conditioned. You were not born with any fixed imprinting. You were not born with a fixed life force or any fixed direction where and when to go. My connection with other beings is specific. I remember when I just started my process here on the island, someone came to me to have me read his chart. There are these frames when you use them in order to find water, to understand if there is water at all. And that's how I started to measure the aura. I remember the earliest days when I was teaching people at home. During the breaks, I was measuring the aura with this frame. And I've realized that my hands were dangerous because when I was measuring, these were incredible auras. And that's how the long process of understanding the aura began, so that I could see something which I was understanding intellectually and something that I was teaching, because it's the aura which tells our stories, demonstrates us. My manifestor's aura is very specific. It is so obvious to me that it's not like anyone else's. You enter generator's aura and it's so obvious for me that it's embracing, enveloping. And projectors who focus on you directly, and reflectors. We had a house in Quebec, Canada, and there were these small stones which lay there for centuries. I would take a stone and throw it across the lake, and it would touch the water surface, and it would continue jumping, and it would never sink. That water is reflector. That stone is every one of us. And it never falls into the water, never truly penetrates the water. Not really. It just glides over the surface. And we're not reflectors, so we don't understand that reflectors have this Teflon aura, which doesn't absorb anything. You're just gliding over it, and nothing is absorbing you. Or you are absorbed, but we can't really explain this process. Throughout this whole week, I'm talking about these signatures, and maybe the most difficult of all the signatures for understanding is this signature of surprise, which is reflector's signature. Just think about what it truly means. When I started describing reflectors, I described them as canaries. It was one of my traditional descriptions. The miners would take canaries underground because if there is a toxic gas, the canaries died first because they were very sensitive. Everyone knew then that if the canary is dead, you have to get out of there. There is poisonous gas. This way, canaries saved people. It was my first description of reflectors, comparison with canaries. They are, in a way, the canaries of the humanity. They don't have a true role. This world is created for projectors and generators. It's not for anyone else. It's their world. But it doesn't mean that there is no place for manifestors and reflectors there. But it's not our world. No. Generators and projectors decide where the planet is heading, what the consciousness will be moving towards. But I've learned something about the mystical process. You need a sign on the road. People which stand on the side of the road and say, yes, you are going the right direction. We need these signs. Reflectors are those road signs. And the problem of their conditioning is that they are created for working out this homogenized world. They have to do it. They are not here to work out abnormality. They are here to let this homogenized world through them as radars. Have you ever seen these pictures when they try to track some object and they draw this line round and round? And they go round and round like that, and these screens with radars are reflectors. They are working out the environment around them just like a radar. And this circle, this line, is their lunar cycle. They are going around one lunar cycle in their process, keeping a close watch on the sky and their human environment. And then they make this sound, boom, and they start looking for something else. They are measuring the level of consciousness compared to the homogenized programming. If a reflector is not awakened, he becomes a servant of big problems. I guarantee you that the majority of reflectors, which are a part of our Western culture, a lot of them are highly conservative. It's very rare that a reflector is someone radical. You will hardly meet those because it's not their job. Their job is to measure how badly people are damaged by the homogenized field. That's their job. That's what they can feel. Apart from everything else, that's why I asked Darman, who is a reflector, to do the neutrino prognosis every day on the radio, because that's why the reflectors are needed. They are receiving into themselves this homogenized program in a way that nobody else can. And they don't just take it in order to become homogenized themselves, but to be able to accept the resonance of the world around them, and the resonance which is there, which they see, where they see a problem. Their mind feeds off these homogenized surroundings. They have this incredible ability to watch those who can get away. They are truly the canaries. But when they are children, they are confused big time. There is this magical ability in them, but it's so easy to get under this conditioning world, to be wrapped in it, so that they become not those who are looking for those changes in this homogenized world, who can give them reward and support them. They can look at the whole crowd, and out of the whole crowd, they can find the person who has the most problems, and they can tell you about it. But if they are not correct, if they are not taught to do so, if they don't know that they are lunar beings, they will not be able to grasp it. When they raise their finger to point at someone, it means that someone should be punished, taken away, killed. They can be very cold and cruel beings. Diana is a goddess of hunt. I deeply respect her. You don't look into her eyes with challenge, because she can kill you at any time. But we are all ruled by some. Oh, those gods. They are totally different beings. They don't make an agreement with the humanity. They are different from humanity. They have a totally different program. The program is something bigger than a simple illusion. It's a huge thing. And they are completely different servers of that program. Until reflectors were beings with consciousness, just like we all are, they were always those who conditioned others till the last minute. They are very good at it. They are very powerful at it. There isn't many of them. However, it's actually quite a lot. There is a joke those numbers playing truly. We're looking at reflectors and it's only 1% of the population. It's nothing. But at the same time, it's 70 million people. 70 million people who are born disappointed. You can't even imagine what it is like to be born from the mother's womb and to be already disappointed. If a reflector will not be awakened, it will never be able to avoid this. It will never be able to get out of this. They really want it. It is embedded into them to be able to accomplish that goal of theirs. And that goal is to be this road sign. That's the beauty of Michelangelo's Madonna. There are those angels on that painting whose finger points. Those are reflectors. They are the aspects of that finger which points. But usually they have this tendency to be this finger of this homogenized world. You can't blame them for this. They are dependent on this life force they are a part of, and they don't want any problems. They don't really. Reflectors non-self is created to be so uncomfortable, so unstable, that they don't feel comfortable with those who disturbs the pattern, breaks the rules. And they are taking this program in the world of the non-self, living out this program. and anyone who is showing the sign of dysfunction. And it means that they seem abnormal. They are pointing their finger and saying, "That's the one." I am a person who knows the dark side. I can talk about this as no one else, because I can see very dark things, the darkest things, and I know that as a construction, it's the design of reflectors. It's the darkest power which you can't find. At the same time, the program can't give them anything in order to uplift them. The program needs those reflectors in their non-self. Every time when I meet a reflector, I think that I will not argue with them. To some of them, usually, I say a silent thank you. But it's not many of them. The fractal line of reflectors which can help us to those who are ready. There is this incredible movie, The Matrix, this ability to recognize someone whom you took out of the illusion. A correct reflector, awakened reflector, they are truly those who can see this. It's those who can say that they are ready to get out of these rules, these beliefs. They have the ability to see it, and we need it. This is the ability to see who is ready and who is waiting. My concern about reflectors is that I really understand what is their role in supporting this homogenized world. The deepest power which keeps people away from abnormalcy are supported by this reflector power. They hold this incredible place in our lives. But for me, the non-self of a reflector is much more powerful and much more dangerous than the non-self of any other type, because they are keeping away those who would be otherwise seen. They are trapping them in this world. When I look at the mythology, my own mythology, I see so clearly this challenge that design faces. Let's take generators, what is needed in order for them to function correctly, and how it is important for this world. However, when it comes to reflectors, everything that is connected with them, it's simply connected with a state of surprise. And the surprise has to be the most positive one. I am grateful to reflectors who are in my life. There are much more of those who never touched human design. I don't think that there is more of a challenge than to wake reflectors up. Just think about it. Moon. Nothing would exist on this planet if there would be no moon. I worship sun. All my body is filled with sun, and it receives from the earth this life force. But don't forget about the moon. I can't forget about her, because if you will take her out of the equation, there will be nothing. We are all under moon's influence. We don't just see how it rises and how it goes away, but all our liquid in the body follows the moon's movement. We are all in a way in the moon's hands. It's not only the reflectors who have this relationship to the lunar cycle. Each life goes through this cycle every 28 days. Every lunar cycle, they change lives. That's how they measure life. I don't know if there is anyone who understands these people with an open G center, because in a way, these people are special. They need stability of the environment so that they can scan their surroundings. And that's their role, to scan this community around them and give these clicks. An open G center is their core. It's the community which is important for them, because that's where they have this responsibility in front of the program. They are servants of this program, and I don't mean it in any negative way. Please understand this. The program is bad only when you are trying to be abnormal and trying to wake up. As for the rest, the program is amazing. If you are leading a normal, spoiled life like the rest, then everything is great. The crucifixion is there anyway, and there are babies on that cross. Just think about it. About all those millions of reflectors that are born on this planet and keep being born. You are being born in such an environment where you would never want to live in. Just think of those parents who are surrounding this child. And when the parent gets a baby reflector, they don't really know what to do with it. They don't know because it's very difficult for this parent. It's very difficult to be together. When you have a baby generator, you feel it. You feel it so much, you get crazy by this vibration. When you have a manifestor baby, you see the difference. When you have a projector baby, you think whether it will be live or not. But when you have a reflector baby, you don't know whether it was switched off in the hospital or something, because you never truly reach them. Imagine that you are a mother generator which received a baby reflector. There is this aura like a stone, and you see that reflector is not worried about you. The child reflector is the only one who thinks that a mother is just an aspect of all moms. Imagine this. The true reflector, obviously. I don't know how they're feeling it, but an awakened reflector doesn't have a personal connection with anyone. They can't be personal with anyone. The others are just aspects, archetypes of one thing. It's not my mother. This is an aspect of my mother as an archetype. I don't have the best archetype, I didn't get it, and there is nothing personal in this. Then they meet their father, and it scares reflectors. It's the aspect of the whole, it's a male thing, and there is nothing personal here either. Then you have a parent which wants to cuddle you, and this child will play some conditioned role because all children have some role. They need to be fed. But you won't feel this feeling like, you're my mom. No, there won't be anything like this. And not only this, they will never stop measuring you with this radar screen. When you meet a reflector, you have to be with them for 28 days. You have this experience with them, and that's it. Because when they go into the next cycle, it's something else. When I want to demonstrate what is a reflector and how they feel, I say this: 24 hours a day in one moon cycle, they constantly feel one thing, and it goes with a huge speed. And you see the contraction of the cycle for reflectors. It's their cycle, really. It's their cycle. It's the only way they can operate nicely. And look at your relationship with reflectors, which doesn't mean anything in these 28 days. First of all, it's nothing personal for them. For a reflector who looks at me, I'm just an aspect of a teacher. And they feel all of this because it's natural. They are taking in these Teflon specimens because everything in this world tells them, no, we are sun people. You are not suitable here at all. And you have to do all of this so fast. And we can't wait for you. You have to be ready at any moment. And then look at what is happening with them. They are becoming the booster of this program. They are freeing these shoulders. They can point fingers at those who are not normal very well, at those who are standing out. It makes them special. And I become truly aware of the fact that we will never approach them in a deeper sense. The only reflectors who will have any chance, there will be very few of them on my fractal line. And those baby reflectors, which will be brought up by conscious parents, is a truly magnificent gift. I want you to understand this. This is a hierarchical knowledge. It's not for everyone. I will not go on the crucifix. It's not for this. This knowledge, it's for the elite. It's practically useless for 70% of the humanity. It's only for those several hundreds who are ready. And we will not find them without these aware reflectors. It's their job. I watched my generation, how many of them are killing themselves on different shamanic trips. I don't know how I survived. When I was born, nobody came to my house and said, "Give me this one. It will not be like anyone else. He's going to have a different life. I will teach him." They don't do it anymore. But at that time, I would receive that training. But instead, I was watching how my friends were dying from drugs they should have taken because they shouldn't have taken because they didn't know how to take them. There was no one. In our so-called civilized Western world, there are no shamans anymore. We have no one who could point a finger and say, "That's the one, he's not like anyone else," in order for his life not to become this pain that everybody else is going through. It's not my job to recognize those who are ready, not mine. I am a messenger. I only have to deliver the message. I'm not worried about who is there in order to hear me. But reflectors, they will be naturally saying who can hear them. Probably they are the best out of those who can recognize, because over a period of time, it will become harder and harder. Right now, this knowledge becomes very generalized. There are people who speak about human design, but who didn't live their design, who is not living their design, and who will never do it. Just because someone's friend told him something doesn't mean this knowledge is for you.